Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Alabama heading on the road to Norman, Oklahoma, round one of the college football playoffs. And I'll tell you what fascinates me about this game the most: legitimate reasons for both of these fan bases to be optimistic heading into this matchup. If you're an Oklahoma fan, what you're telling yourself is, hey, just a couple of weeks ago, we went on the road to Tuscaloosa and beat this football team. Now Alabama has to come to Norman, one of the most difficult places to play in the sport of college football. Look, in a playoff game atmosphere, you love that if you're an Oklahoma fan. Here's the other thing: I don't think either fan base has a ton of confidence in their offense heading into this matchup. There's a reason that the point total is 40 and a half points. Oklahoma loves it there, man. I mean, you look at Alabama, their offense has struggled. It's been ugly at times. They're 2-2 in their last four games. Oklahoma, look, their offense been struggling for damn near a month and a half. They haven't lost a football game since October 25th. I don't think either fan base has confidence that their offense is going to figure it out in this football game. All right, so what defense do I trust more to have a bigger impact on this game? Probably Oklahoma. What special teams unit do I have more confidence in to have a bigger impact on this game? Probably Oklahoma. Those are the reasons the Oklahoma fans feel pretty good about heading into this matchup if you're an Alabama fan. I think the argument is, hey, we played these guys a couple of weeks ago. We were the better football team for most of that game, just got dominated in the turnover margin. What happens if we play that same game, just don't give up the turnovers? You're probably looking at coming out on top. Really fun one. How similar is this game going to play out to the one that we saw a couple of weeks ago? That is certainly a question. A lot of storylines to get into. Before we get into it, as always, Oklahoma fans, Alabama fans, let it rip in the comment section. Man, it's been really fun previewing and talking about these matchups all year long. The amount of support's been amazing. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let it rip in the comment section. Without further ado, let's get into this one. Now, let's start with this Alabama offense that's going on the road and playing arguably the best defense that we see in the sport. The biggest concern for every Alabama fan is we really got to go on the road to Norman, Oklahoma with a run game that's been abysmal pretty much all year. -3 rushing yards in the conference championship game against Georgia. Say, all right, it's hard to see Alabama suddenly figuring out their run game against the best rushing defense in the country in Oklahoma. You have a feeling Alabama's going to be pretty dang one-dimensional going on the road. What would scare me the most is I got to drop back and throw the football 40-plus times in this game against an Oklahoma pass rush that's sacking the quarterback over 10% of dropbacks, number 2 in the country. One, you got to go on the road and got to hold up in pass protection. That crowd's going to be loud, going to be hard to hear the snap count, and you feel like you're going to see a decent amount of pre-snap penalties. Number 2, when you get into those second and third and long situations against this Oklahoma defense, it's not only are you going to have trouble moving the football, you might be giving some of those turnovers up again. If you're Alabama, you have to figure out a way, hey, we know we're not going to go on the road and run the football for $150 here, 250 yards, right? I don't think Alabama's going to run all over this Oklahoma defense that's been elite against the run all year. Can we figure out a way to at least have some semblance of the run game? Jam Miller potentially coming back could be an impact here. But here's the bigger storyline for me is you have to get creative because, quite frankly, it's not like Alabama's been running the football really well with Jam Miller healthy, right? Getting Ty Simpson involved in the run game, continuing to get Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams involved in the run game. To me, that matters because if you're going to go on the road and replicate what you just did against Georgia and just not be able to run the football, I mean, Oklahoma's pass rush is significantly better than Georgia's, and you're on the road. Not a place you want to be. Here's the other storyline here. Josh Cueva's back, potentially. Could be really big. I think we kind of underrated the value of the tight end position to Ty Simpson, not necessarily because that's who's going to have the most receiving yards in this game, but in some really big moments, it does feel like Josh Cuevas at times is that safety blanket, a guy that makes Ty Simpson a little bit more comfortable at the quarterback position. Him coming back, Could be really big. Hey, if you're Alabama, like we got to figure out how to get Ty Simpson back to the version we saw of him in the middle of October. Because if you get that version of Ty Simpson, this Alabama team can be really dangerous. We just have to try to get that version back. But I think by far the biggest concern is look, this is a very one dimensional offense that can't really run the football, and it's going on the road against one of the best pass rushes in the country. That's what concerns you the most if you're an Alabama fan, and that's what excites you the most if you're an Oklahoma fan. Is it's not only is Alabama going to struggle to score points? I mean, you're going to have some opportunities to really put some pressure on Ty Simpson and change the game on defense. That's been the recipe for Oklahoma. We know our offense has really struggled over the last 2 months. We have to lean on our defense to go out and win us some of these football games. Oklahoma's defense has shown up. You're going to have that same opportunity at home against Alabama. Can you force some negative plays? Can you force some turnovers here? What's the health of our Mason Thomas? Now, Oklahoma's defense has not skipped a beat, and they haven't had their first round NFL draft pick coming off the edge in our Mason Thomas. What happens if he's back in this football game? Big storyline for Oklahoma. Now you flip the sides. I don't know if the Oklahoma fans have a ton of confidence in what Oklahoma can do on offense. Here's the storyline is I don't think we're going to snap our fingers, get a couple of weeks off, and then, see this Oklahoma offense all of a sudden figure it out and find their identity, right? At first, when John Mateer came back from the injury, we were saying, hey, maybe we just need John Mateer to get his feet back under him. Well, that hasn't really happened for Oklahoma. The storyline here is I don't really care about the efficiency. You don't have to score 40 points to win this football game. Lincoln Riley is no longer your head coach. You don't have to win in these shootout games. What I'm looking for from Oklahoma, find a couple of explosive plays. Like, can you have John Mateer, who might not necessarily carve up this Alabama secondary that I think is one of the best secondaries in the country? Can you have John Mateer find 2 or 3 plays that he can change this football game with? Can you continue to figure out different ways to get Isaiah Satania the football, Deion Burks the football in space to go change a football game? The efficiency of this offense, I don't think is going to figure itself out. Can you continue to find those explosive plays that change games? Because with how good this Oklahoma defense is playing, you don't need to be super efficient. You don't need to be a juggernaut on offense to have a chance at winning this game. We've been saying it for the last month. Oklahoma is a very unique team. Because of their offensive struggles, they have a chance to lose every single game. We saw that the last month. It was really tight at home against LSU a couple of weeks ago. But at the same time, because of this defense, they have the chance to win every single game too. Getting into the pick, to me, the pick is not all that complicated. I'm going to take Oklahoma at home here. And it's because this is going to be a defensive slugfest. I don't think either of these offenses are going to have a ton of success. So we're trying. Points are going to be at a premium. What defense do I trust the most to change a game? What special teams unit do I trust the most to change a game? That both aligns with Oklahoma. I think at the end of the day, Oklahoma's been really comfortable in these football games. Alabama hasn't. Alabama has looked ugly on offense for about a month. They're 2-2. Oklahoma's also looked ugly on offense for about a month and a half. They haven't lost since October 25th. Oklahoma's a little bit more comfortable in these kind of football games. You're giving me 1.5-point dogs for Oklahoma at home. Give me Oklahoma. I think they're more comfortable in this kind of football game than Alabama is. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.